Why is community engagement important?
The university has to be participating in this to remain relevant, to have meaningful curricula, and to be taken seriously by the community.
I think that the great benefit that the university has, or any university for that matter, has in working with the community that they're a part of is that they have the resources to be able to help the community attain more engagement.
If you can create that shared sense of values and shared history by going through a process like this Copc program, then I think ultimately you build one of those great civic foundations for healthy and sustainable community life.
If you're not engaged with your community and with the life of your time and the people around you, you miss a great deal of what life has to offer.
Bangor, when the base closed in the late 70s, really took a downturn. Two things happened. One was the closure of the base and the loss of a substantial population base, and the second thing was the beginnings of the development of the mall on the outskirts of town, which really gutted downtown.
It was very interesting to go to an event in downtown Bangor that was on how can you use a course to have students help to create information for new businesses.
And I think for many, many years, a lot of community leaders with a great deal of aspiration for the city of Bangor couldn't figure out what Bangor's new future was going to be. And so I remember talking with community leaders about it was going to be they were going to turn Bangor into a retail outlet, or Bangor was going to become a financial center, or there were just a lot of ideas floating around.
If we're going to be successful in the future, then we need to be able to bring people together. If you're thinking about something like housing, for example, that you need to be able to say, okay, who should be at the table?
There were a few catalytic things that happened. One was the American Folk Festival and the efforts locally to bring that to town, and the boost in confidence that gave to everybody. And then in terms of the university and Bangor, the university decided to relocate its art museum downtown. And it was a boost for the art museum, it was a boost for the downtown, and this emerging image of Bangor as an arts and cultural center for the region began to take shape.
A lot of our work and challenge was to begin to have, in effect, strange bedfellows come together, sit around the table, and learn to speak a common language. So I'm talking about University of Maine staff and faculty beginning to talk on the same wavelength with residents of Bangor who together have accomplished some very important activities.
The HUD Copc grant came to my attention because of my work around a lot of issues, housing, the community downtown, and there were concerns around the young people and what their opportunities were. Bangor was emphasizing downtown as a residential area, which was certainly a change, and all the issues that come with that. It seemed like a natural that I would be engaged.
University of Maine approached us. Myself being in graduate school, I thought it was a wonderful idea. So we started sending a few emails back and forth, and lo and behold, we accepted to be part of sort of a pilot program or a beta testing program with several other area businesses in downtown Bangor, and we were going to be assigned a group of students from the University of Maine, undergrad students at this point, to help work on an advertising and marketing plan specific to our business.
We became involved with the Copc Project at fairly early stage, actually, when we were involved with the early planning, with the partnership our office actually provided with the university and with the program to provide the downtown space, some of the resources, and some of the local knowledge and flavor, if you will, of the process that is now unfolding before us.
What we're doing is looking at alternatives for housing and development in downtown Bangor, and bringing engineering, specifically civil engineering students into that. And there's a strong service learning component for those students.
Being in the office these last 2 summers has just been really interesting. I find it all interesting. And the things that they might find boring and monotonous, like some weekly meeting that we always have to go through They sit there like, oh, here we go, another meeting. And I'm excited to sit there and listen and just learn something.
Andrew spent a lot of time last summer, the bulk of his time, doing essentially a condition assessment of downtown Bangor. He worked with Kathy Hunt to put together a really nice questionnaire that was mailed out to zip codes in close proximity to downtown to ask people, why do you go downtown? How do you get there? What businesses do you frequent? Restaurants, shops, what have you. He did a condition assessment of the sidewalks, looking at walking condition, basically pedestrian use survey and quality of pedestrian travel. And this summer we're building on that, building electronic maps of downtown Bangor and pulling together a lot of that information that you can then quantify it and visually display it on a map. It becomes very useful for development purposes, for zoning purposes. You can put all kinds of statistics in there.
I was involved in a project that linked students in an advertising campaigns class to 6 businesses either in the downtown Bangor area or directly serving downtown Bangor. So students created a soup to nuts campaign for these businesses, most of which were new, some of which had already been in operation. We had nonprofits and for-profits.
One of the greatest outcomes from this project was that this small group of people that I was working with knew what we do as an organization. So the ability to have students take that hands-on life approach and really learn about a living, breathing organization was huge.
Rather than just advertise, hey, we're a theater, we're here, we do productions, come see us. We really wanted to change the image of what the theater was and try and rebrand them in the community. And at the same time, entertain them while we're doing it. Creating something like the new tagline, Penobscot Theater, where art doesn't imitate life, it inspires it.
And we've taken that catchphrase and use it. And the next step will be to see if we can incorporate some of the print and other media forms of advertising that the students created, and to see if we can utilize that within our 2008-2009 season that's upcoming.
Universities are one of the core assets in community and economic development. They're there, they're not going anywhere, they have enormous assets, and very frequently they're not brought to bear on local issues and local problems. So you have top-notch researchers focusing on issues of poverty and really being able to talk a lot about poverty and solutions to poverty, and all their work is focused overseas and not at home. And to be able to bring that expertise to bear locally is something that happens too infrequently.
Educating students is our #1 priority. Those students come out and they become productive members of society. They're the backbone of the economy. They're educated. They help bring the good jobs to Maine. If you've got that workforce, employers want to come. But if you've already got people involved while they're students and people see that direct connection with the university, I think it really paves the way for that kind of thing. And the more support we can get for the university, and vice versa, the more the university can give to Bangor directly, the better off we're all going to be.
The more ways that we can make the university more than a place that people go to learn, but engage in a meaningful two-way, I think it's just fantastic.
I felt that this project was so successful in large part because the partners were amazing and the students were so driven to make these projects meaningful because they knew there were real stakes for the partners involved.
I walked down the street the other day and got a coffee at a coffee shop, and the lady working behind the counter asked me what I was doing on a Sunday if I was going to work, and I said, yeah, I'm just doing some freelance stuff on the computer. And she asked me if I was a student, and I said yes. And she asked me what I was majoring in. She was curious. It was a boring Sunday. And I said I was majoring in design. She asked me if I had a card. I gave her my card, and she looks at the logo and says, how do I know you? I know this logo. I've seen this before. And she had actually come to the presentation that our class gave at J.B. Parker's. And on the spot gave me her card and said, come back to me in 2 months. We really need some work done in the fall, and we would really love to have you.
This really isn't community service. It's really about knowledge and research, and where does that all fit? What do you do about that? And people are kind of flirting with those ideas, and I think that's a highlight.
I think it's self-evident that when someone takes the time to break the mold of traditional academia and the business side of it and say, hey, Let's shake hands, connect the dots. Everybody wins.